You cannot trust the Rudd government. Labor's budget is based on big spending. Last year, their budget was a big spending budget when they claimed that we were facing the world's worst recession since the Great Depression. But this year, Wayne Swans spending even more money. In fact, year on year, the government has increased its expenditure by $26 billion since the last budget. And that's built on two new taxes. $12 billion from the mining industry, a heroic assumption, and an increased tax on cigarettes. Labor's spending will continue to put upward pressure on interest rates. Peak debt under Labor is assumed to be $94 billion in 2013. What is it with Labor that they are focused on debts of over $90 billion, as it was under Paul Keating when the coalition was elected? In the meantime, they're going to have to borrow $700 million every week, $100 million a day to fund their extravagant spending. Under Labor, the deficit as a percentage of GDP has returned to the Keating years. Under the coalition government, we got the deficit back into surplus. Now we're in the red again. Once again under Labor, net public debt continues to grow. It took 10 years under the previous coalition government to pay off the $96 billion of debt that Labor left behind. This time around, they're leaving a similar sum. The real impact of debt is reflected in the fact that every year we have to pay interest on the money we've borrowed. That means there is less flexibility in the budget for essential spending on health, education, and national security. All of the improvement to the budget bottom line is due to good luck and not good management. Labor is reckless with taxpayers' money. What we've seen in this year's budget is a $1 billion repair job on the Pink Bat program, a $1.7 billion blowout in the school halls program, a $1 billion blowout in computers in schools, a massive blowout in the national broadband network, which may never be delivered. And of course, when it comes to consultancies, you can rely on Labor not to keep their promises. The key issue is that Labor is claiming it's going to deliver surplus in 3 years' time. Of course, they've never delivered a surplus under Kevin Rudd, and I expect that Labor will never deliver a surplus into the future. Wayne Swan is putting Australia at risk with his higher taxes and higher spending. This means higher interest rates because of higher inflation. And of course, whilst the government borrows $100 million a day to fund its deficits, it's crowding out private sector investors. That means there's less money for small business and homeowners to borrow money, and if they can get the money, it is more expensive. The absurdity of Labor's budget numbers is reflected in the fact that they're expecting the mining boom to continue while they're introducing a big new tax. If the mining boom is going to grow with a big new tax, they are creating new economic theory